What's up guys, it's Elliot here, and today I'm bringing you another map guide on this channel. I'm going to be talking about Nepal. Nepal is King of the Hill map. It's actually one of my favorite maps in the game. I have a really high win percentage on it. Obviously you can't actually check your map win percentage. I really wish you could. I wish Blizzard would actually put that in the game for you, because it's actually probably one of the highest maps that I have victories on. I almost always win on that map, as it seems. I actually don't remember the last time I've lost, but that's just because of a lot of practice, and I guess a lot of maybe some luck in matchmaking as well. But I'm sharing my secrets to how to win on Nepal more often. So let's start into it. So first one I'm going to talk about is the one called Village. It's well, it'll be on screen now, so you can see that too. But essentially, you really want to use high ground on this map, and that's something that's really important. As a lot of people go through the main choke, and then you have the little hut in the middle of the point, which has two sides. But it's really better to go through the top right off spawn. You'll go to the top right or top left if you're on the other side, but it's pretty obvious which way it is. It goes up through a house, and then it's basically symmetrical, and there's like a high ground area that leads to above the middle house. So a lot of fighting takes place up there, and it's really good because you can drop down from a lot of angles and surprise the enemy team if they're on the point or not. Holding up there is pretty good. You can get on top of the hut, and if you're a soldier or something, it's really good to hold. It's just good as Ryan, and then when they try to get on the point, you can charge into it. So that's something that happens a lot. A lot of people try to get on the point, and the other team will collapse into it. It's really effective to not stand on that point, because you can get wiped. It's a closed space, so heroes like Ryan are really good in it, Winston's really good in it, and there's a lot of ults that are good in it. Like, you can block a lot of that point with a Mei ult, with a Ryan ult, with a Diva bomb or something. It's really strong, and that's why you really need to keep control of this in a good vantage point, because they're going to have to, enemy team comes through a choke. They either come through a low ground point, which you could block with Maywall. You can focus them where they run in. They have to pick a side, which also narrows down their angle. Or they're going to come in through the house up top, which is, again, a small choke, but you don't want to hold too aggressively because you get wiped easily. But essentially, that's the point of this one. You want to pick the right positions to get a nice vantage on the choke, and make sure when they're coming in, you can get good lines of sight. The point's pretty self-explanatory. You just want to be on it. You got to get on as a whole team. It's really good for heroes that just have a lot of AoE. It's really good for tanks. It's a pretty small map overall, and that's something I really like. Especially on this point, is it kind of keeps the action pretty close. Reaper's really effective on this map. I've had a lot of success with Reaper. And of course, I play Soldier to take advantage of the high ground. Roadhog's really good, but any of the tanks work. And fighting on this point can be a challenge, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I like charging across the point with Ryan, but yeah, a lot of close action takes place here on this point, so you really need to make sure you're holding in the right spots on the high ground to get a lot of advantage, because you don't want the fight to take place on the point, because they can go any way based on what heroes they have and what ults they have. But if you can hold successfully on the high ground and limit how the enemy team gets in, you can really stop people on this map, which happens a lot. Okay, so the second point I'm going to talk about is Sanctum. It's the one inside the temple. So essentially with this one, you have a huge hole, obviously, like a lot of the King of the Hill maps do at one point, and it's really tough to not fall in there. Heroes like Roadhog are really good. Lucio's good to boop you off to it. Ryan could charge through. Diva could hit you. A lot of ways to get knocked off into it. The best way I think to take about this is to go through the left, because there's an open area above the point-ish, which has pillars, and a lot of the fighting takes place there. Roadhog's live for position. You want to get up there because you can hold as a soldier or a range hero to look down on the point and fire, and you have pillars for cover, and it's hard to be hit. To the right, there's obviously a little back room where you can drop underneath. A lot of good close range there. Reaper's, again, good on this map, but you want to kind of avoid that. A lot of people do come through there, and it can be pretty risky. Typically, if you're defending the point, you might want to have a healer in there or something, and you obviously could get flanked by someone dropping into the room, but you basically want to hold on the point and don't let the enemy team get too much advantage. You don't want to stay too clumped together, because if you give the enemy team high ground, you could get picked pretty easily. But you want to have a couple people staying on the left side high ground and defending. But more than that, what you want to do is when you come through to the room, there's a choke on each side. So the most difficult thing about it is picking a side and getting through it, because they are small rooms, and the enemy team will oftentimes push up, but that's how you get picked pretty effectively. And because it is a two-way split, it can happen a lot with a little bit of pick. So I typically suggest playing back on the point, because they have to come through hallways. Again, it's another small, narrow map, and heroes with long range can just fire into a tight space and do a lot of damage. Reaper's really good. Again, a lot of ults, a lot of close range, tanky battles on this map. And fighting the whole map, Nepal, is a lot of close range encounters and ult usage, and it can change hands a lot as King of the Hill, but if you can actually play this well, as long as you can take the point, you have to go through as a team, you have to get on the point, but you really want to use the certain areas as an advantage. You want to pick off people trying to defend the high ground. You want to come onto the point aggressively, and you want to try to get alt wipes because that's how you take it. And when you're defending, you just want to make sure you keep getting picks, and you force enemy team into chokes where you can easily like poke at them and wipe them. And that's the same as these first two maps. So the final point I'm going to be talking about is Shrine. This is probably the most complicated one. It's the most different. It's a bigger map. There's a lot of room. Farah is really good on this map, and that's something because she can rain damage onto the point. It's like the point is a circle with like a pillar in the middle, so it can be kind of hard to take because you can like jockey around the pillar constantly. But the best way to take this, in my opinion, is to go through the houses on either side, because you're going to pop out on the, I think, right or left side of the point, and you will be able to kind of get like a level ground vantage point. The right side's pretty open and there's stairs, so whoever's defending it has an option to defend it. But for the most part, you're going to have to come through as a team. You have to be decisive. It's probably a lot better to come, I mean, not through the middle as much, but again, because it's a tight choke and there's a pillar, lines of sight aren't always the best. So you have to stand pretty much right in front of the staircase. So sometimes it can be complicated, but if you can get on the point, you can probably you can take it pretty well. But the thing is, this point has a lot of flank opportunity. Because it's more open, because it's bigger, because there's a lot of angles you can take. Having a Genji or someone pop in through the back to disrupt healers, the point's pretty like tight, and since there's not like a direct line of sight across, the healers have to stand a little closer, and because it is upstairs, you can't really stand way back and shoot, because you won't be able to see the team. It's like an Ana. So the healers have to get more onto the point. So a flanker or someone to get on it can be a little more effective. And again, because you're holding right there in the choke, a Rhine charging could like take your Rhine out or something. And it's pretty good. Farah can hit a lot of damage, but you're basically using angles here. Because this point has so many different angles to come through around the pillar, you just need to figure out the right angle for your team to tank. And if you can split them with like a divey comp and coming from different angles, you can pick them off since they're all standing in an area. And since they're on the point, they're all standing in an area. Doing stuff like that's really effective. That makes this map a little bit more contested because it kind of breeds a different playstyle. The other two are a lot more smaller, tight-fitted maps where you're going to go through a hard choke, and the enemy team, and the defending team typically has an advantage because they can pick you off, and taking the point typically requires an ult. But on this map, it's a lot more fluid, it's a lot more options. That's what makes this one probably the hardest and like probably my least favorite of the three, because it's a lot less rigid. And for me, a player who likes playing tanks or even like DPS, like Soldier or Reaper, my preferred two, it's the other two maps are really good because I have nothing confined space to shoot into, but this one's open. People can get on the point, you can contest on the pillar, and it's a lot more difficult. So I would say typically mix it up, because if a death ball fight is not the way to go for you, this point gives you the best opportunity to win a fight, because it's so open. And obviously because there is so much like in the way of this point, it's hard to shoot Farahs from underneath the dome, and she can rain a lot of damage on you, and that's pretty difficult. So overall, this Nepal is a map that favors a lot of like heavy team fighting, deathball kind of comps, and that's probably why I have a great win rate on it, is because I play tank, and I typically like playing in deathballs and stuff. But again, it does breed well. If you can run a successful dive comp, you can get on these points. You can probably win Shrine, and you just have to figure out a way to win another one, maybe by using the pit and something in the Sanctum. But this offers a lot of good variety, and it definitely offers a chance for tank play to shine, since these are more close-quartered contested maps. And that's one of the reasons I think I do well again. And hopefully you can do well on this map and kind of like hone your close-quarter skill and communicate as a team to take these tight fit points. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this was informative, and I will see you in the next video.